Everybody say power. Power. Say power.
Power. We're literally the bodies of folks who live in those communities used as sinks for pollution. They're the dumping ground for Prince Joseph County. They're the sacrifice zone for Washington, D.C.
Just like in Warren County, North Carolina, we have far too many communities across our country who are still battling every day for a breath of fresh air.
I'm calling birds flying high.
What should diversity, equity, and inclusion look like? It should look like you, it should look like me, and it should look like people of color at the helm, at the very center of power, in boardrooms and in C-suites.
And that's going to require that sometimes we're going to have some difficult conversations.
To me, diversity and inclusion definitely looks like nothing we've ever seen before. Not only racial, class, gender, it's also diversity of thinking.
I'm calling birds.
Play chess, because in chess you have to be strategic. If they remember that experience they had in nature, they may be the person on that board that says, yes, let's do that recycling program.
Every moment counts. You never really know the true impact of what those moments could be.
Let's not forget about West Baltimore, because there's economic reasons why those parents and those community members can't show up to community meetings.
But it was an opportunity to tell them a story about how this once was just a place where trash was dumped, and tell them a story. Then they started asking political questions. Well, how come the government let that happen? It's a great question.
How's the birds gonna sound? Just a tweet, tweet, tweet. Tweet, tweet, tweet. Educate yourself. Educate yourself.
The night is beautiful. So the faces of wildlife protectors, butterfly inspectors, waterway perfectors.
In fact, we have yet to find a serious environmental problem in our watershed that it was not forged from some form of power imbalance or injustice. That the folks who decide about where money gets allocated in the state may not have cultural competence or knowledge of these other places. You're getting the vibe here, right? That there seems to be a pattern.
Southern Black agrarians challenged the European 600-year-old experiment of individual property rights through the creation of the Black Family Land Commons. One of my favorite quotes is from Toni Morrison, and it goes, little people with finite lives love to play games with the infinite. And I think that our ancestors understood that by creating the commons to ensure that the generations would never suffer due to racialized capitalism and land scarcity.
I think convenings like this are essential to inspiring each other and to broadening the web of radical imagination.
What I'm so inspired by in this whole conference is that we are making new networks and new connections so that we can go together to influence our legislators. And at a time when we have an administration that is dismantling the EPA and drilling and mining in our national monuments, we don't have any time to be divided. We all have to stick together to ensure that we have a clean, green environment for the future.
In 2016, I was afforded the opportunity to spend time at the White House. There, I learned that you could not do anything alone. All I had was convening power. However, convening power is priceless when it comes to thinking about the communities that we need to impact most.
How you take charge of your career, it's really important to know yourself. Know what your natural talents are. What do you enjoy doing? Know that the thought of your work should bring you joy. Focus on what you want, not what you don't want, and have your goal be bigger than just you.
All of the causes we're working on need all of our skills. They need all of the strengths in this room. So I would encourage you, as you're here at this conference, to engage others and get curious about what their passions are.
And we were always trying to make sure the community's voice is lifted at the table. So sometimes we're the ones who come in the room, we're gonna push the envelope. You may make you a little bit uncomfortable, that's okay.
I've worked with about 5 governors in Maryland. When I work with elected officials, one of my first questions is what kept you up at night? Because I can go to elected officials with all kind of views and ideas and things that I want to do, but if it's not resonating with them, the conversation is really going to not last very long.
You got to make it an emotional moment. And so, whether we're talking about how, the president's infrastructure plan and whether or not we're going to start blowing through all kinds of environmental regulations that people pejoratively call red tape, that red tape protects people and protects that air and water. I tell people all the time, you have to make policy personal, right?
How can we create a more comprehensive result? It's important as well to have Black entrepreneurs involved in the environmental movement. And when you tie all that together, the impact is much bigger than what it would be as you might approach a single issue as you're having a conversation with an elected official.
This is the right time to have this conversation. It has been the right time. I feel a willingness out there with elected officials to listen and to make those changes.
When it comes to advocacy, the skill that is involved is getting the other person to see matters from your side that they cannot see because of who they are and where they came from, or they won't see because of who they are. If you do have, minority elected representatives, to have people that look like them and share their background is important. But I also think that white people need to learn how to talk to non-white people.
There are a lot of great stories that I think our legislators can learn about the impacts on the environment to minority and low-income communities. And so if we can share those stories to more legislators, we can make more progress.
And in the work that we do in Buzzard Point, this fight is for the birds, it's for the people, it's for all of us, but we can't put any group before the other, and we have to work together.
Part of the criteria for being an environmental champion was being involved in environmental affairs for at least 5 years. Dewan is 21. He's been involved since he was 12 years old.
There were so many people in my communities and across my city that had no idea that the jewels that we had in Annapolis, the Chesapeake Bay and the rivers and ponds were there. So I just got inspired to do some advocacy work for the environment. So many people with the same goal, and that's to preserve and protect our environment. I really, really enjoyed being in the room with people who were about the action.
I've been changed. I've been changed. I've been changed. But that was okay, because with gills and a tail, you can get away quick from a salamander whale. I didn't even look like mom or daddy, kind of, sort of, but I had what it took to wave in the water. Come on. Wave in the water. Wave in the water. Changed. I've been changed. I've been changed. I've been changed. Watch me now.